So let's turn our attention a little bit to the draft now. I did a mock draft simulation, and my whole idea was Browns need to get up in this draft to have a shot at Jaycee Horn. So what I ended up doing is I traded up with the Las Vegas Raiders. You see what I had to give up? I had to give up the 26th pick and number 91. That is the second of their third round picks. And I got up to 17. And when I did that, guess who was available at 17 for me? Jaycee Horn. And you see some of the other guys that were available. So I did, in fact, select Jaycee Horn, cornerback from South Carolina. Kind of think he might be the only shutdown corner. Here's how that rest of that unfolded. Dyami Brown from North Carolina, big play wide receiver. Jamin Davis was available in the third round at pretty much every mock draft I did. I addressed the interior line and then the edge rusher with Patrick Jones from Pittsburgh later in the draft. Overall, they give me a C. Dan, would you trade up in this upcoming draft to get a guy like a Jaycee Horn, or do you think the Browns aren't going to do that?
I would do it. I would go after one of these big name corners. Now, if you think a guy like Greg Newsome is going to fall to, just ahead of you and maybe you only have to move up a couple spots, or maybe he's going to fall to you and maybe you like him more, that's fine. But I would absolutely move up to get Jaycee Horn. And this is where Andrew Berry it's kind of the one thing we haven't seen him do yet, right? Is target a guy and figure out exactly where he needs to get in the draft. And this is where you kind of hope that year with John Dorsey kind of taught him that side of things, because that's sort of what John Dorsey was known for. And he did it when Brett Veach and Andy Reid said, go get us Patrick Mahomes, figure out where you need to go. And he did that. So I would like to see the Browns get aggressive. If they really like Jaycee Horn, get aggressive, move up and get him. And I think you kind of looked at the right spot when you've got that 89 and 91. Those are the perfect picks to play with in that range.
And the other thing to keep in mind, people that don't want to trade, a third it's going to be tough for a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round draft pick to make the squad, because the roster has been upgraded. Now, practice squad and those kind of things, absolutely. But if you can really impact that 53-man roster by spinning off a couple of those later round picks, I think that's where the Browns are now. It's a great place to be as a franchise.
Right. And when you start playing with that practice squad for guys taking that high, you expose them to maybe getting signed away by another team. You don't have the protections you would have if you put them on the roster. So, they've got 9 picks this year, and it's really hard for me to find 9 spots on this roster. Now, down the road, this team is still going to need draft picks. I mentioned earlier, this roster will get top heavy. It will get expensive. And that's when you want to have those draft picks. That's when they start collecting those comp picks, which I think is something that Andrew Berry is going to really value moving forward. Now that they've sort of had their 2 off seasons of free agency binges, I think we'll see them be a little more conservative in free agency moving forward, because they'll take that Baltimore Raven approach of let's collect comp picks and really use those to our advantage. Right now, it's the time to be aggressive. You're going for it. You're trying to win the Super Bowl. And if you can get a cornerback like Jaycee Horn who can help you do that in year 1 of his career, and by the way, help you in that cost control department, because you've got a young guy on a rookie deal opposite Denzel Ward, who's probably going to start making a lot of money soon, that only helps long term.